Shrivad Sadigaur Bhakta Vranda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the subject matter is Karma Yoga. And the first and second verse is actually the question by Arjun. And the theme of the question is renunciation or work. Renunciation here means actually Jnana Yoga, Sannyas, or Sankhya Yoga. And work here means Nishkama Karma Yoga, Buddhi Yoga, or devotional service. So this is Arjun's question. Which of the two is better? And then the second section from verse number 3 to 9, Nishkam Karma Yoga, which means work, is actually better than renunciation. So we have discussed up till verse number 9 last time, and there was a one word mithyachara in verse number 6. There is a word mithyachara, which means pretender. This mithyachara word here stands for immature renunciant without purifying the heart. If he gives a work, then he may outwardly control his senses, but his mind is always hovering on the sense objects. So, today we will start the next section. But this verse number 9, if you remember last time, we discussed oftentimes, Srila Prabhupada quoted this verse. Everybody has to work. This is the basic theme of the first 6 chapters. At least for us human beings, they have to act, they have to work, because that is their constitution. Nobody can stop working, because even for maintenance of the body, we have to work. Now the question is, we have to work, that is mandatory for everybody. The next question is, if we have to work, then how can we work and still be free from bondage to the reaction of the work? That is the second theme of the first 6 chapters. So this verse 9 is a very typical prototype work, which says that if you work for yagna or work as yagna, then you will be free from the reaction of the work. So the theme of the first 6 chapters is everybody has to work and how one should work but still not get caught up in the reaction of the work. So this is the one famous verse Yajna arthat karmano anyatra loko ayam karma bandhana tadartham karma konteya mukta sanga samachara. Yajna artha karmano, work for the yajna, which means Lord Vishnu or Krishna, work for Krishna. It means work in Krishna consciousness. Anyatra means otherwise. Loke asmin means in this world. Karma bandhana, everybody will be bound by the reaction of their work. Tad here, tad artham means work for that means Vishnu. Tad here means Vishnu or Krishna. Karma konte, work, Arjun. Mukta sanga, then you will be free from the reaction. Samachara. Samachara, which means
recording in progress.
Perform action for that purpose. Tadartham karma samachara. Mukta sanga means freed from the attachment of the result. So this is a very typical, specific verse that how one work that he will not get reaction to the result of the work, is not bound to the work. So that we have discussed last time. Now we are going to the next section, verse 10 to 16. From Karma Kand to Karma Yoga. Karma Kand is a portion of the Vedas which deals with ritualistic performance of many sacrifices, but the goal is fruitive result, either in this world or in heaven. That is the goal of Karma Kanda. And when we say to Karma Yoga, word yoga means connection with Krishna. So Karma Yoga means actions performed are connected to Krishna. And usually there are 2 types of Karma Yoga. One is called Sakam Karma Yoga, in which we perform action and the part of the result we offer to Krishna and part we use for ourselves, for our maintenance or enjoyment. And the Nishkama Karma Yoga is the activity we perform and the result of our activity completely we offer to Krishna. So basically in Bhagavad Gita, Nishkam Karma Yoga is referred as Karma Yoga. And it is only advocated by Krishna to perform Nishkam Karma Yoga. And this is the verse. Have we discussed this verse last time? Verse number 10.
No, Prabhuji. No, Prabhuji. No, Prabhuji.
Okay.
We did till 308.
Sorry, say again.
We completed till 308 only last time.
Not 9 even. Not 9, Prabhu.
Not 9, Prabhuji. We completed till 308 last time. Now anyway we are starting 309.
Okay, so here is the purport of the verse 9. Since one has to work even for the simple maintenance of the body, the prescribed duty means Varna Ashram duties. For a particular social position means Brahman, Kshatri, Vaishya, Shudra. And quality are so made that that purpose can be fulfilled. So, all the Varna ashram prescribed duties for the Varna and ashram are made by the scripture in such a way that ultimately the goal or purpose, which is Vishnu, to please Lord Krishna, is fulfilled. Varna ashram activities are ultimately to please Krishna. Now the word yagna means Vishnu, also yagna means sacrifice. So all sacrificial performances are also meant for satisfaction of Lord Vishnu. And Srila Prabhupada is giving evidence from the scriptures, Yagno Vai Vishnu. In other words, the same purpose is served whether one perform prescribed yagna or directly serve Lord Vishnu. So, in other words, same purpose is served whether one perform prescribed duties, means varnashram duties, with a goal to please Vishnu. This is for Sanishta Bhakta. Sanishta devotees are those who perform their prescribed Varna ashram duties and offer result to please Vishnu, or directly service to Lord Vishnu means devotional service. In this case, there is no prescribed duty according to the Varna ashram, but directly acting in devotional service. It means the devotees when they are practicing devotional service, they are already fixed up in Nishkama Karma Yoga, but they are beyond that. So devotional service include what the prescribed duties for the yagna are for the Varna ashram. And therefore, Prabhupada writes, therefore, Krishna consciousness is therefore performance of the yajna as it is. The Varnashram institution also aim at satisfying Lord Vishnu. Varna ashram achartva purushena para puman Vishnu aradhyate. This is from Vishnu Purana, which is quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Krishna consciousness includes, say, all the karma kand activities automatically, because the purpose is to please Vishnu. And when we perform our devotional activities, our object is to please Krishna. Therefore, one has to work for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Any other work done, this is the, so till this line, the purport is for yagna artha karma. Now Srila Prabhupada is discussing the next line of the verse, Anyatra loko asmin karma bandhana. So now Srila Prabhupada is writing, any other work done in this material world will be cause for bondage. This is the second line of the verse. Anyatra loko karma bandhana. For both good and evil work, it means pious and impious work, have their reaction, means we have to get result. And any reaction binds the performer. It means when we get the result of the work, whether it's pious or impious, we have to enjoy the fruit of pious activities and we have to suffer the reaction to impious activities. And for these two, enjoyment or suffering, we have to get next body. It means that action which is performed without satisfaction of Vishnu result in bondage, means bondage of repeated birth and death. Therefore, one has to work in Krishna consciousness to satisfy Krishna or Vishnu, and while performing such activities, one is in a liberated stage. It means when we work for Krishna, offer result of the work to the Krishna, then there is no reaction whether the work is pious or impious. Even impious works, the fighting which Arjuna is performing is not pious work in one sense. It's a ghastly act of killing. But since it is for satisfaction of Krishna, so there's no reaction. So the work in Krishna consciousness to satisfy Krishna is in liberated stage. Liberated stage means a transcendental platform. Liberated stage means beyond the influence of three modes of material nature. So the work in Krishna consciousness is transcendental, which means beyond three modes of material nature. And by now, if you want to write one line, all Varna Ashram activities are within three modes of material nature.
Can we ask a question now, or actually wait till end, Prabhuji?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, since we are discussing about Sakama Karma Yoga and then Nishkama Karma Yoga, like Sakama Karma Yoga, you mentioned that offer some portion of whatever fruitive results to devotional services, I mean to Lord, and remaining you are using it for your personal entertainment. So that's Sakama Karma Yoga. Nishkama Karma Yoga offer everything, fruits to devotional service. So, like how we can really perform this Nishkama Karma Yoga? Now we are going for work, being in this world. We need something for maintenance, and whatever salary or payment we get, if we offer 100%, then difficult to maintain. So then how do we balance this? We are actually maybe doing a little bit of Sakama Karma Yoga, not even full, basically.
I think
Sakama Karma is nothing.
What you are saying is, in one sense, all the life members and well-wishers of the ISKCON, they are some way or other way are at the level of Sakam Karma Yoga.
Yes, Prabhuji.
But the devotees, though they are working and offering only a portion of their savings from the earning in the activities of Krishna consciousness, but they are practicing the limbs of devotional service, chanting of the holy name, following four regulatory principles, worshipping deity, and the other limbs of the devotional service. Therefore, they are not Sakam Karma Yogi. They are devotees. So only if they are not performing devotional angas of the devotion, then they are Sakam Karma Yogi, like the other well-wisher of the ISKCON. But we are devotees since we are performing the actions of devotional service. So we are not Sakam Karma Yogi. Similarly, the full-time devotees in the ISKCON, technically speaking, are Nishkam Karma Yogis because they are working and not asking for any result of their work. They are offering all the result of the work in Krishna consciousness. But they are not Nishkam Karam Yogi, they are devotee because their actions are not only prescribed according to one ashram, but their actions are all in the limbs of devotional service. So they are devotees, not Nishkam Karma Yogi. Is it clear?
Got it, Prabhuji. Yeah, clear, Prabhuji. Yeah. So there is another dimension. It's not just a Sakama Karma Yogi or Nishkam Karma Yogi. We have to also consider as a devotees.
Because we are performing limbs of the devotional service under the guidance of the spiritual master. That we are performing sadhan bhakti. Vaidhi sadhan bhakti. We are performing Vaidhi sadhan bhakti.
Yeah, thanks, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Therefore, one has to work in Krishna consciousness, satisfy Vishnu, and while performing such activity, one is in liberated stage, means transcendent. What the line I wanted to you notice, Varna ashram activities are within modes of three gunas, in three modes of material nature. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told to Ramanand Rai, all varnashram duties even offered to Krishna are external. He did not accept that. Why Ramanand Acharya's proposal of varnashram duty not accepted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He said they are external because they are within the jurisdiction of three modes of material nature. The action of devotional service are beyond three modes of material nature. They are at liberated stage or transcendental platform. Now Srila Prabhupada writes, this is the great art of doing work. So Krishna consciousness is a great art of doing work. And in the beginning, this one should therefore act very diligently under the expert guidance of a devotee of Lord Krishna, which means a spiritual master, or under the direct instruction of Krishna himself, which in this case Arjuna is actually performing. So what Srila Prabhupada is saying, if that, well, Arjuna has opportunity directly to work under Krishna's guidance, and we don't have that, but there's no problem because we are working under the guidance of representative of Krishna, the spiritual master. So our act is directly under direction of Krishna. Nothing should be performed for sense gratification, but everything should be done for the satisfaction of Krishna. That is the central point of Bhagavad Gita. Everybody wants to satisfy one's own senses. But Krishna wants and demands that we should satisfy Rishikesh, the master of senses, master of senses, the senses of master of senses. That is the perfection or the central point of Bhagavad Gita. This practice will not only save one from the reaction of work, means this act of work, but also gradually elevate one to the transcendental loving service of the Lord, which alone can rise one to the kingdom of the God. It means when we learn this act of working, the technique of work, then not only we will be free from the bondage of the work, which means the reaction to pious activities and going to the heaven, or reaction of the impious activities and going to the hell, or going to the different species of life to suffer or enjoy. But actually, gradually we are elevating in Krishna consciousness. That is transcendental loving service. And that will make us eligible to transfer ourselves from the material realm to the spiritual abode. So this is the purport of the verse 9. Now we are going to the next section, 10 to 16 verses, Karma Kand to Karma Yoga.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Can we ask a small question, Prabhuji?
yes,
Prabhuji, when we are performing our work, normally our senses, we should not think about our senses, we should perform activity to satisfy the Lord's senses, that is Krishna's senses, right, Prabhuji? So sometimes we offer prasadam to Lordships. We think after eating that, like laddu and all. So after eating that, we will be satisfied. We are keeping Krishna as a center. We are sometimes using him to satisfy our senses. Like today, if I want to eat some laddu, I'll prepare some laddu and I'll offer him, and I satisfy my senses through him. So is this sense gratification? And sometimes what happens? Even Tulsi Maharani is there. We have here bugs, red bugs. We get red bugs here. So we have to, sometimes I used to do before initiation, I used to wash her. So if I kill that bugs, is it sinful? I don't know. If it is sinful, if that sin goes to, that is not correct. If I'm killing, that will be gone to Guru and Guru will be affected. So and the Tulsi Maharani, she is getting affected by the, she is suffering because of these red bugs. So these two things, can you please clarify?
what actually you are asking is, when we are cooking something in the kitchen, if our consciousness is that all the wonderful preparation which we are making is to please Krishna and offer this bhoga to Krishna, and then we will relish the prasad. That is proper consciousness. But instead, those who are not at a higher level of Krishna consciousness, they ask the children, oh, what do you like today to eat? Oh, mother, I want to eat today pasta or pizza. Then mother prepare that preparation, and as a token of her devotional service, offer it to Krishna, and then please his children. There is a little low consciousness, because the purpose is not to please Krishna, purpose is to please the desire of a child. But before we please the child, we offer to Krishna. So this is, in one sense, this is a one step lower than devotional service. This is coming according to the verse in chapter 9th, yat karosi yad asnasi yad jaosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kontek tad kurusho mad arpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, you do that, but offer it to me. So you are doing according to your desire, and then you are offering to Krishna. Therefore, it is not pure devotional service. But it is not sense gratification only because you are considering to offer it to Krishna first, which means almost you are purifying your desire of sense gratification, and food is spiritualized and become prasad. So you will not get reaction, but still your level of Krishna consciousness is 1 degree lower than pure Krishna consciousness. Is it okay?
Yes, Prabhuji, definitely. Okay, got it. And can you please tell me the next one, Prabhuji, about the bugs which Tulsi Maharani is affecting? If we kill them, is it simple?
But Tulsi Maharani, what you are saying, Tulsi Maharani, I don't understand.
Yeah, actually, Prabhuji, like we have red bugs here. She is affected with red bugs. And can we wash her? Because the bugs will be killed if we wash her. So is it sinful?
I think you refer to the protection of Tulsi and taking care of the Tulsi. There are some books and guidelines how to take care of Tulsi. So if she is infected by the bugs, then definitely we have to take care of Tulsi and remove the bugs, whatever the technique is required to remove that. Because the purpose is higher. It is like killing of the soldiers in a battle by Arjun for a higher purpose to please Krishna. Therefore, there is no sinful activities. So your purpose is to preserve and care Tulsi, because Tulsi is in the used in service of Krishna. Therefore, anybody which is attacking Tulsi, we can attack them. So this is like for higher purpose, we can break some rules of etiquette for a higher purpose. but technically I will still refer you to read the guidelines of the book How to Take Care of Tulsi.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yes, definitely, Prabhuji.
Okay, so verse number 10.
Thank you.
This is the verse most of the time. Personally, I used to preach when I have to preach to the new people. I select this verse because this verse has certain words which appeal to the new people. So I am reading verse, so you read with me. Sahayagnaha praja srishtva provacha prajapati anena prasavishadvam ishvo astva ishta kama dukkha. Now these last two lines, anena prasavishadvam means may you prosper by this sacrifice. And Eshva Astu Ishta Kam Dukh means may it fulfill all your material desires. May it fulfill you desire for liberation by supply bodily maintenance and knowledge of the Atma. What actually it means, we ask everybody, you have all the desires, both material and spiritual, you can say, and you want to prosper in this life. Therefore, you have to perform sacrifice or yajna. So we say everybody wants to, their desire to be fulfilled. Yes, Ishta Kama Dukha means your choicest desire you will get fulfilled. And Prasavishwadham means you will prosper more and more. Everybody wants this. So the process is perform yajna. Who gave this advice? Provaja Prajapati. Provacha means, Provacha, word Provach means the one who gave instruction. Pura Vacha. Long ago spoke. I spoke long ago. Pura Vacha. Pura means long ago, Vacha means spoke. Krishna is saying, I have spoke long ago. How Prajapati is Krishna, that Srila Prabhupada has quoted one verse from second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam from the prayers of Sukdev Goswami, that Krishna is Prajapati. The first line says, Saha means along with, Yagnaha means sacrifice, Praja means demigods and the human beings. Srishta means created. So Supreme Lord created the host of the demigods and the human beings along with the yagna, and then instructed them to perform this yagna. The performance of the yagna will fulfill all his desire and he will prosper more and more. This is the meaning of the verse. Then generally I said, everybody, oh, you all agree to perform yajna? Yes, but yajna doesn't mean only the fire sacrifice. Then I go to the chapter 10 and I quote the verse, Yajnanam Jap Yajnasmi. Of all the yajna, Krishna says, I am the Jap Yajna. Therefore, ultimately I inspire them that the best yajna which everybody can perform without any expense, without fire and smoke, without the assistance of priest, is chanting holy name with tongue, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So this is the verse which we use generally for the new devotees. Baldev Vidyabhushan says, this verse shows that it is wrong to maintain the body without offering sacrifice to Vishnu. Now Srila Prabhupada writes, we are reading the purport. Material creation by Lord of creatures, Vishnu, which means Prajapati and Srishta in this verse, is a chance offered to the conditioned souls to come back home, back to Godhead. So this is the purpose of creation. The creation is a merciful act of the Supreme Lord, and He is giving a chance for the living entities to reform and transform from the conditional stage and transfer back to the spiritual abode. All living entities within the material creation are conditioned by the material nature. Material nature here means three modes of material nature. And condition means having a enjoying mentality. And because of their and why they are conditioned? Because of their forgetful of their relation to Vishnu or Krishna. So they have forgotten the constitutional position. Therefore they are conditional. How one become conditioned? When he forget constitutional position. So we have two stages, or we have one is constitutional, one is conditional. So we are acting at a conditional level when we forget our constitutional position to serve Krishna. Our constitutional is Jivera Swarup Hai Krishna Nitya Das. The Vedic principles are to help us understand this eternal relationship. So here Vedic principle means Sambandha Jnana from the Veda. Sambandha Jnana from the Veda is to help us understand eternal relationship, which means Abhideya or devotional service. As it is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Vaideshya Sarver Aham Eva Vedya. Krishna says the purpose of all Vedas is to know me. So generally in Vedas there are three truths described. One is Sambandha Jnana, other is Abhideya, which means devotional service, and third is Prayojan, which means to awaken the love of God. The Lord says that purpose of Vedas to understand Him. In the Him it is called Patim Vishwasyatmeshwaram. Patim. The word Pati means maintainer, protector. Vishwasya means of the universe. Atma Ishwaram means everybody's master. Therefore, Lord of the living entities, which means Vishwasya Atma, is Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, Vishwas Atma Ishwara. In Srimad Bhagavatam also 2.4.20, Srila Sukdev Goswami described the Lord as a Pati in so many ways. So this verse, you read the whole verse, Shriya Pati, Yagna Pati, Prajapati, Dhiya Pati, Lokapati. But the last line is Vrishni Satvatam Pati, which means Krishna. Yadupati means exactly, specifically Krishna. And the last line says Satvatam Pati means the master of the devotees. So Srila Prabhupada has quoted this verse from the Bhagavatam to describe the word Prajapati in this verse, and that Prajapati is ultimately Krishna, because he is a Vishnipati, Andhak Vishnipati, which means Yadavpati. So Krishna's one name is Yadupati. So Prajapati is Lord Vishnu, and he is the Lord of all living creature, which means Praja. All words, which means Loka. All beauties, which means Shri, and the protector of everyone, Satvatam Pati. So Srila Prabhupada has given couple names in the translation, but this verse originally you can read from Bhagavatam if you want to relish it. The Lord created this material world to enable the conditioned souls to learn how to perform yajna for the satisfaction of Vishnu, so that while in this material world they can live very comfortably, which means they get their desire fulfilled without anxiety, and after finishing the present material body they can enter into the kingdom of God, which means ultimately they prosper from the spiritual, from the material to the spiritual platform or realm. There is the whole program for the conditioned soul. It means for conditioned soul, the whole program is to perform yajna. And that yajna is Sankirtan yajna, which is very easiest and the topmost. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has inaugurated that. Srila Prabhupada will write, by performance of yajna, the conditioned soul gradually become elevated to higher stage. In the age of Kali, the Sankirtan Yajna, the chanting of the names of the God, is recommended by the Vedic scripture, and this transcendental system was introduced by Lord Chaitanya for the relevance of all men in this age. So the easiest yajna is Sankirtan yajna. Sankirtan yajna and Krishna consciousness go well together. It means actually the purpose of Krishna conscious movement is to propagate Sankirtan yajna of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Krishna in his devotional form as Lord Chaitanya is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32. And the verse goes, Sankirtan yajna is a specific activity that incarnation performed to be recognized by most intelligent people. Krishna Varnam Tvesha Krishna Sangopang Archada Astaram Yagnai Sankirtan Praya Sumedasa. So other yajna prescribed in Vedic literature are not easy to perform in this age of Kali. But the Sankirtan yajna is easy and sublime, means very transcendental for all purposes, as recommended in Bhagavad Gita also. Where it is recommended in Bhagavad Gita, anybody can try. Can somebody try? It is also recommended in Bhagavad Gita. Yes?
In 10th chapter, Prabhuji.
Say again.
In 10th chapter.
10th
Just
chapter.
said,
No, Sankirtan. We are speaking of Sankirtan Yajna. Jap Yajna is in 10th chapter. In Bhagavad Gita, it is in 9th chapter. Satatam Kirtana Yanto Mam Yatatansya Dridvrtaha. So this is in Bhagavad Gita, yes. Yeah, this is the characteristic of a devotion, Mahatma. Is a great soul. So Sankirtan, Prabhupada was asked once, in Western world you are doing Sankirtan and you are saying your movement is based on Bhagavad Gita. Where in Bhagavad Gita is Sankirtan? Prabhupada quoted this verse, Satatam Kirtana Yanto Mam. You see, this is the verse in Bhagavad Gita which actually promotes Sankirtan. So we are going to the next verse. Devan bhavyata anena te deva bhavyantu va parasparam bhavyantah shreya param avapasyat. This is Karmakand. This verse is specifically Karmakand from Vedas. By that sacrifice anena, please the Devata, Devan bhavyataha. And the Devata will please you, te deva bhavyantu va. Being mutually pleased. You please demigod, demigod will please you. You will all attain the highest benefit. Shreya param avapasyat. Highest benefit means you will get all your desire fulfilled. Or even go to the heaven. Therefore, this is Karmakand. So this verse actually, Chakravarti Pad writes, Vishnu, this verse explains how the yajna yield all desire, ishta kama dukha. Bhav indicate affection in this verse. Okay. This verse quoted by Srila Baldev Vidya Bhushan is also quoted by Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada writes, demigods are empowered administrator of the material affairs, like a minister in the kingdom of Supreme Lord. The supply of air, light, water, and other benediction for maintaining the body and the soul of every living entity is entrusted to the demigod, who are innumerable assistants in different parts of the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which means they are the different part of the limb of the universal form of the Lord. All demigods are the different limbs of the universal form of Lord. Their pleasure means demigod's pleasure, and displeasure are dependent on the performance of the yajna by human beings. Some of the yajna are meant to satisfy a particular demigod. But even in so doing, Lord Vishnu is worshipped in all yajna as chief beneficiary. Though the yajna may be performed by the Indra or for the Varuna or for some other, but it's still ultimately the beneficiary means one who gives the benefit of the yajna is Vishnu through some demigod. It is stated also in Bhagavad Gita that Krishna himself is beneficiary of all kinds of yajna. And where is this? This is the last verse of the 5th chapter. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam. Therefore, ultimate satisfaction of the Yagnapati is the chief purpose of all yajna. When these yajna are perfectly performed, naturally the demigod in charge of different department of supply are pleased. And there is no scarcity in the supply of material products. So even when you perform Sankirtan Yajna, you will get all the benefit of different yajnas performed to please different demigods, that you can get all benefits. Because Supreme Lord is satisfied, then the root of tree is watered, then the whole tree is also nourished. So Krishna is satisfied, then all demigods are automatically satisfied. Srila Prabhupada writes, performance of yajna has many side benefits. So the primary benefit is Lord Vishnu is satisfied. The secondary benefit is ultimately leading to liberation from material bondage. So other are secondary benefit, but ultimate benefit is to be free from the repeated birth and death. By performance of the yajna, all activities become purified. As it is stated in the Vedas, this is the verse quoted by Baldev Vidyabhushan. Ahara Shuddhau, if we eat purified food, ahar means food that we eat. Sattva Suddhi means our existence will be purified. Sattva Suddho, if our existence is purified. Durva Smrti, then our Smrti means remembrance. Durva means unshakable. It means fixed. We will have a fixed intelligence, fixed remembrance. Smrti, lambe, and when we regain our smrti, which means remembrance, sarva granthinam vipro moksha, then all the knots of false ego and other things, vipra means of the brahmanas, moksha, he will be freed. By performance of yajna, one's eatable becomes sanctified. And by eating sanctified food, one's very existence becomes purified, sattva suddho. And by purification of existence, finer tissues in the memory, which means dhurva smrti, become sanctified. And when the memory is sanctified, one can think of path of liberation, which means vimoksha, vipramoksha. And all these combined together lead to the Krishna consciousness, the great necessity of present day society. So ultimately, what is written here is, if we honor prasad after offering to Krishna, then this chain of purification will start, and ultimately it will lead to our Krishna consciousness. This is the present great necessity of the present day in society. We are going to the verse number 12. Ishtan bhogan hivo deva dasyanti yagna bhavitaha tairdatana pratayebhyo yo bhunkte sten eva sa. Again karma kand. The devatas, deva, pleased with the sacrifice yagna bhavitaha, will bestow on you vah dasyante, desired enjoyment ishtan bhogan. He who enjoy what is given by devata yah tair datan bhunkate, without offering to them, ebhyo apradaya, is indeed a thief, isten evasa. It means whatever facilities we are getting in this material world by the mercy of the demigod, and if we don't recognize and offer back to them by saying thanks, then we are thief, using somebody else's property for our own sense gratification. Srila Prabhupada writes, in the Vedas there are different kinds of yagna prescribed for different kinds of demigods. But all are ultimately offered to Supreme Personality of Godhead. For one who cannot understand what the Personality of God is, sacrifice to demigod is recommended. It means those who are still at a lower level, they worship demigods. That is also bona fide. But those who are at a higher level, they worship Supreme Lord. That is the ultimate goal of all sacrifices. According to different material qualities of the person, means Rajogun, Tamogun or Satogun. Persons concerned, different type of yagna are recommended in the Vedas. So there are yagna for Brahmanas, which are in mode of goodness. There are yagna for Kshatriyas, those in the mode of patience. There are yagna for the Vaishyas and Sudra, those who are in lower mode of ignorance and patience. Worship of different demigods is also on the same basis, means according to our material motivation by the three modes of material nature. Namely, according to the different qualities, means Satogun, Rajogun or Tamogun. For example, the meat eaters are recommended to worship the goddess Kali, the ghastly form of material nature, and therefore the goddess, the sacrifice animal is recommended. That is in the mode of ignorance. But for those who are in the mode of goodness, the transcendental worship of Vishnu is recommended. But ultimately all yagna are meant for gradual promotion to the transcendental position, means being free from three modes of material nature. For ordinary men, at least 5 yagna known as Pancha Maha Yagya are necessary. What are these Pancha Maha Yagya? Anybody can answer me, what are these 5 sacrifices which every grasta has to perform?
Danvat Pranam Prabhuji, is it Pitri Rin, Dev Rin, Rishi Rin?
Yes, that is this is the right answer. Dev Yagya, Pitra Yagya, Bhut Yagya, Rishi Yagya, Atati Yagya, these are the 5 Yagya. Everybody has to perform every day. One should know, however, that all the necessity of life that the human society requires are supplied by the demigod agents of the Lord. No one can manufacture anything. Nobody can manufacture the grains, rice, wheat, the different pulses. Nobody can manufacture anything. Obviously, our life is dependent on supplies from the Lord through the agents, demigods. Even for our manufacturing enterprises, means factories, we require so many raw material, all of which are supplied by the agents of the Lord, means demigods, with the purpose that we should make proper use of them to keep ourselves fit and healthy for the purpose of self-realization, leading to the ultimate goal of life, namely liberation from the material struggle for existence. So even all the necessities, Prabhupada, once somebody visited from Calcutta in Mayapur to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada asked, "Oh, gentlemen, what are you doing?" Oh, he said, "I have a cement factory." Oh, he said, how you manufacture cement? He said, "From the rock, from the mountains, I get the rock. And then I crushed them and made cement." Prabhupada said, "Who made the rocks?" Oh, he said, "Nature, God." Prabhupada said, "So you are stealing from God and labeling your own product." Then that gentleman was a little embarrassed. He said, "Well, we are also offering donation in the service of the Lord." Prabhupada said, "Yeah, then you are a small thief because you are taking more and giving something." So actually all the raw material which we use in the industry to produce something for our sustenance, for necessity of living, ultimately are provided by the nature which is working under the direction of Supreme Lord. Maya dikshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. So ultimately Srila Prabhupada writes, the purpose of all this use of these things is to keep us fit and healthy. Why? For self-realization and ultimately to the goal of going back to home, back to Godhead. This aim of life is attained by performance of yajna. Aim of life means getting free from material bondage of birth and death, going back home, back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada writes, if we forget the purpose of human life and simply take supplies from the agents of the Lord, which means demigod, for sense gratification and become more and more entangled in this material existence, which is not the purpose of creation, certainly we become thieves, and therefore we are punished by the law of material nature. A society of thieves can never be happy because they have no aim in life. The gross materialistic thieves have no ultimate goal of life. So what is the ultimate goal of life?
Going back to Godhead, Prabhuji.
Yes. Reviving our constitutional position and going back to the spiritual abode and engaging in the direct service of the Supreme Lord. The gross materialistic thieves have no ultimate goal of life. They are simply directed to sense gratification, nor do they have knowledge of how to perform yajna. Lord Sri Chaitanya, however, inaugurated the easiest performance of the yajna, namely the Sankirtan yajna, which can be performed by anyone in the world who accept the principle of Krishna consciousness. So the principle of Krishna consciousness is to perform Sankirtan yajna. Verse number 13. Yagna sishtashna santo muchyante sarva kilbashaihi bhunjante titvagam papa ye pachanti atma karanat. Yagna sishta ashnaha santo. Santa means saintly people. Yagna shishta means what is left after offering in yajna, which means prasad. Asna means eating. One who is eating the remnant of the bhoga offered to the Lord as a prasad is a saintly person. What benefit he will get? Muchyante sarva kilbasha. He will be free from all sufferings. Kilbasha, muchyante sarva kilbasha means free from all sins. Bhunjante to agam papa. It means those who are not offering to the yajna or to the Krishna and enjoying only Bhunjate means enjoying. Te, tva, but those who are not offering in a yajna. Agam, agam means also sin, and papa also means sin. Ye pachanti, they are cooking. Atma karnat means for one's satisfaction. This is I have a joking comment on this verse. People sometimes say we are not cooking for ourselves. Atma karnat. We are not cooking. Pachanti means cooking. Atma karnat means for oneself. We are not cooking for oneself. Then what you are eating? Oh, we are eating in restaurant. Then there is a double thing. Agam and pap only applied for those who don't cook but or go and eat out. And most of the people are actually agam and papam is a double sin. Say those respectable people, santa. Santa means saintly people, who eat the remnants of sacrifice, yagna sishtashana. Prabhupada purport will start with the word santa. Who is santa? Are freed from all sins, muchante sarvaklipsha. Those sinful persons, papa, who cook for themselves, ye pachanti atma karanat, suffer from sin, te tu agam bhunjati. Srila Prabhupada writes, the devotees of the Supreme Lord are the persons who are in Krishna consciousness are called saints. Santa. They are always in love with the Lord as it is described in Brahma Fasanta Premanjan Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadeva Hirdeshu Vilokayanti. So Srila Prabhupada has first described the word Santa of the verse and quoted a verse from Brahma Santa that they are pure devotees. The saints being always in contact, in a compact of love with Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, which means giver of all pleasure, or Mukunda, the giver of liberation, or Krishna, the all-attractive person, cannot accept anything without first offering it to the Supreme Person, which means they only honor prasad. Therefore, such devotees always perform yajna and different modes of devotional service. What are the yajna? 9 processes of devotional service is yajna. Sarvanam yajna, Kirtanam yajna, Sumranam yajna. Sarvana yajna, every day we hear Bhagavatam. Kirtan yajna, every day we perform Harinam Sankirtan. Sumrana yajna, every day we chant holy name on our beat 16 rounds. Archanam yajna, we perform the deity worship. In this way, there are 9 different processes of different yajna which we perform in a sadhana bhakti. And these perform of yajna keep them always aloof from all kinds of contamination of sinful association in the material world. Srila Prabhupada writes, others who prepare food for self or sense gratification are not only thieves, but also not only thief from the previous verse, but also the eaters of all kinds of senses from this verse. How can a person be happy if he is both thief and sinful? It's not possible. Therefore, in order for people to become happy in all respect, they must be taught to perform the easy process of Sankirtan Yajna in full Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, there can be no peace or happiness in the world. So, Sankirtan Yajna is the only hope for the peace and happiness in the world. Verse 14. This is the verse. Once Srila Prabhupada was asked, Bhagavad Gita is over 5,000 years old. What is its application in a modern era? Srila Prabhupada quoted this verse number 14. Anad bhavati bhutani prajanyad anna sambhava yagnad bhavati prajanyo yagnaha karma samudbhavam. He quoted this verse is applicable today. It was applicable 5,000 years back, and it's going to be applicable in all coming future years. What is the principle? All creature arise from the food, means the life is dependent on the food. Anad means food grain. Bhavanti bhutani means they sustain their life. Food arises from the rain. Prajanyad means run. Annasambhava means grains are produced by rain. Rain arises from sacrifice. Yajna bhavati prajanyo. By perform of sacrifice there appears rains. Sacrifice arises from prescribed action. Yajnaha karma samudbhavam. So, Krishna herein warns Arjuna that even in the forest, if he has to go, giving up fighting in the battle, want to sustain his life by begging in the forest, all food is nurtured by rain coming from the demigods. Therefore, he cannot avoid his obligation to perform the sacrifice born of his prescribed duty. Prescribed duty here means Arjuna as a Kshatriya must perform his prescribed duty as a yajna. Srila Prabhupada writes, the Supreme Lord, who is known as the Yajna Purusha, or the personal beneficiary of all sacrifices, is the master of all the demigods, who serve him as the different limbs of the body serve the whole. Demigods like Indra, Chandra and Varuna are appointed officers who manage material affairs, and the Veda direct sacrifice to satisfy these demigods so that they may be pleased to supply air, light and water sufficiently to produce food grains. When Lord Krishna is much worshipped, the demigods who are different limbs of the Lord are also automatically worshipped. Therefore, there is no separate need to worship the demigods. Those who don't know that there is a Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, they can still engage in the worship of the different demigods according to the Vedas. But then you have to satisfy each and every demigod by different worship. But the easiest process is simply to serve Krishna, who is the root of all demigods. Then when Krishna is served by yajna, we are watering the root of the tree. And the demigods are the branches which are automatically nourished. So there is no need of separate endeavor to pour water on the branches. And that will not benefit actually. So Srila Prabhupada writes, for this reason the devotees of the Lord who are in Krishna consciousness offer food to Krishna and then eat. A process which nourishes the body spiritually. By such action, not only are past sinful reactions in the body vanquished, prasad is a mercy, but the body becomes immunized to all contamination of material nature. So from this verse you can write a small paragraph, the benefit of eating Krishna Prasad. That is sort of your homework. When there is an epidemic, disease, an antiseptic vaccine protects a person from the attack of such an epidemic. Like we have this pandemic, corona, and people are vaccinated. Similarly, prasad is a vaccination. Similarly, food offered to Lord Vishnu and then taken by us makes us sufficiently resistant to material affection. And one who is accustomed to this practice is called devotee of the Lord. So, homework for you is benefit of eating Krishna Prasad. Therefore, a person in Krishna consciousness who eats only food offered to Krishna can counteract all reaction of the past material infections, which are impediment to the progress of self-realization. On the other hand, one who does not do so continue to increase the volume of sinful actions, and this process this prepare the next body to resemble hogs and dogs, to suffer the resultant reaction of the all sins. So those who are not eating prasad are preparing their next bodies in lower species. The material world is full of contamination, and one who is immunized by accepting prasad of the Lord, food offered to Vishnu, is saved from the attack, whereas one who does not do so becomes subjected to contamination. You are vaccinated, then you are not hospitalized, which means you will not go to the hell. So eat Krishna Prasad and save yourself from going to the hell. Human beings who are accustomed to eating meat and flesh must always also depend on the product of vegetation in order to eat the animal. What actually Prabhupada is writing, people say, oh, we are not eating grain. Grains are produced from rain. We are eating flesh. Prabhupada says you are eating flesh of the animals, and these animals are eating only grass and grains. You actually, when you are eating meat, you are eating second-hand product, because they are eating grains and that is transformed into flesh. What you are eating is a second hand, not a first hand. Yeah, you are using a second hand car, not the car coming directly from the factory. The field production, which means agriculture, is due to sufficient rain from the sky, and such rains are controlled by demigods like Indra, sun, moon, etc., and they are all servants of the Lord. The Lord can be satisfied by sacrifice, therefore, one who cannot perform them will find himself in scarcity. That is the law of nature. Yajna, especially the Sankirtan Yajna prescribed for this age, must therefore be performed to save us at least from scarcity of food supply. For Prabhupada is saying, even if you don't want to go to Godhead, but at least you want to have a sufficient supply of food, please perform Sankirtan Yajna. Verse 15. Karma Brahma Udbhavam Vidhi Brahma Akshar Samudbhavam Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma Nityam Yagne Pratishchitam. Karma Brahma Udbhavam. Brahma here means Veda. So karmas are performed in Veda. Vidhi means no. Brahma Akshar means Veda. Brahma Akshara Udbhavam. Here Brahma means Veda, Akshar means Lord. So Veda have come from the mouth of a Lord. Tasmat Sarvagatam Brahma. Therefore, everywhere, everything is transcendental in a Vedas because coming from Lord. Nityam Yagya Pratishtatam. Therefore, Yagya is also eternal. So action arises from the Vedas. Karma Udbhavam Vidhi. Brahma Udbhavam. Brahma means Veda. The Veda arises from the Brahma. Brahma Akshar Samudbhavam. Akshar Brahma. Therefore, this all-pervading Brahma is eternally situated in sacrifice. Srila Prabhupada writes, Yajna Artha Karma. or necessity of work for the satisfaction of Krishna only is more expressly stated in this verse. If we have to work for satisfaction of Yajna Purusha, Vishnu, then we must find out the direction of work in Brahma, from where we know how to perform Yajna from Vedas, transcendental Veda or Brahma. Anything performed without the direction of the Veda is called vikarma, means work against the scripture, or unauthorized or sinful work. This is the meaning of word vikarma. This word vikram you write down in your copy, and in chapter 4 also this word will come, vikram. So then you make a small paragraph of 4 or 5 lines what vikram is meant in the Bhagavad Gita, or what is the explanation and meaning of the word vikram in Bhagavad Gita chapter 3 and 4. So this is also the 1 week little homework. It will continue in a couple more weeks. Such direction in the Veda are directly manifested from breathing of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which means Veda is aparushya. Vedic knowledge is not coming from any person, but is coming directly from the transcendental breathing of the Supreme Lord. We should always remember that the conditioned soul in material nature are all eager for material enjoyment. This is a natural tendency of all the living entities. But the Vedic direction are also so made that one can satisfy one's perverted desires, then return to Godhead having finished his so-called enjoyment. It means everybody wants to enjoy his senses, and Vedas advise some sacrifice for fulfilling their desire, but ultimately they raise them from that standard of enjoyment, so-called enjoyment, to the higher level of serving the God and going back to Godhead. It is a chance for the conditioned souls to attain liberation. Therefore, conditioned soul must try to follow the process of yajna by becoming Krishna consciousness. It means performing Sankirtan Yajna. Even those who have not followed the Vedic injunction may adopt the principle of Krishna consciousness. This is Prabhupada's writing for the Western world, because they are not following the Varnashram Vedic system for their prescribed duties. So even those who are out of Varnashram, they are not Arya or civilized. Civilized or Arya are those which perform their prescribed duties according to the scripture. Even those who are not within the fold of Varnashram can adopt the principle of Krishna consciousness and perform Sankirtan Yajna. And that will take the place of perform of Vedic Yajna or karmas. So if somebody is performing Sankirtan Yajna, other all performance are already finished. So we are reading the last verse of this section. Evam pravritam chakram nano vartante yaya aghayur indriya ramo mogam parsa jivati. This is called cycle of yajna and karma. And you should make a cycle, a circle of cycle, how this circle is continuing. That is your homework. Evam pravritim chakram. So, Evam pravritim chakram means the movement of this cycle. Na anuvartante yah na anuvartante. He who does not follow. Then he is aghayur and Indriya Ramo. You have heard the word Atma Ram. They are great soul. But this is just opposite to Atma Ram is Indriya Ram. He is enjoying his senses. And Aghayur means leading the life of sin. Ag means sin, Ayu means life. And Mogham, their life is useless, Mogham. So those who don't perform yajna, they are implicated in sinful activities. So how is the cycle? The cycle is Supreme Lord, Veda, action, sacrifice, rain, food, and production of the living entities. So then the living entities again read the Veda, perform the action, perform the yajna, will come rain, become food, and again the new living entities are born. So this is the whole cycle. The new living entities then study the Veda arising from the Lord, perform action and sacrifice with the Lord present within again. So this is the cycle. Ramanuj take the Brahm as the body and Akshar as the soul, which is necessary for the body to function. Then Ramanujacharya says, then the cycle is soul in the body, action, sacrifice, rain, food, nourishment of the body with the soul, then action, sacrifice, etc. Madhva takes Brahm as the Lord and Akshar as the Vedas. Veda reveal the Lord, and Lord inspire prescribed action, then sacrifice, rain, food, nourishment of bodies, study of Veda, revelation of Lord, inspiration to action, etc. Who will not sink to hell? Srila Prabhupada writes, the Mamonist philosophy of work very hard. These are the materialistic people, and enjoy sense gratification is condemned herein by the Lord. Therefore, for those who want to enjoy the material world, the above mentioned cycle of performing yajna is absolutely necessary. So you have to make a diagram of cycle of this Lord, Veda, Karma, Yajna, rain, food, grain, then blood forming in the body from food grain, then the semen is formed from blood, then from semen the new living entities are born, and new living entities again go and study Vedas, and then this cycle will continue. One who does not follow such regulation is living a very risky life, being condemned more and more, which means mogha. This is the word mogha. Jivati is described in this line. By nature's law, this human form life is specifically meant for self-realization in either of the three ways. What are the three ways? He may be a karma yogi or a jnana yogi or a bhakti yogi. There is no necessity of rigidly following the performance of prescribed yajna for the transcendentalists who are above the vice and virtue. But those who are engaged in the sense gratification require performance, purification of above mentioned cycle of yajna performance. So this yajna cycle is for Sanishta Bhakta, is not for Nirpeksha Bhakta. There are different kinds of activities. Those who are not Krishna conscious certainly engage in sensory consciousness. Therefore, they need to execute pious work. Would,
Prabhu,
yes,
how would you qualify us who are beginners and have started doing chanting? Aren't we Sanishta Bhakta or even lower?
Sanishta Bhakta are in Varna ashram. They perform their prescribed duties and please the Lord by their action. Parinishta Bhaktas, they are already transcendental to the Varna ashram, means 3 modes of material nature. But still they perform all the prescribed duties just to set an example for the other people. And Nirpeksh Bhakta are completely transcendental. They are not even performing prescribed duties to become the example. They are completely callous to all the ritualistic work. So generally we devotees are still to some extent parinishta and to some extent nirpeksh. But we are not sanishta. Those who are not Krishna conscious, okay. The yagna system is planned in such a way that sensory a conscious person may satisfy their desire without becoming entangled in the reaction of sense gratificatory work. The prosperity of the world depends not on our own efforts, but on the background arrangement of the Supreme Lord, directly carried out by the demigods. This paragraph is most important. This paragraph of the purport is most important. Take note of this. The prosperity of the world depends not on our own efforts only, but on the background arrangement of the Supreme Lord. And what is the background arrangement? Directly carried out by the demigods. So demigods who are appointed by the Lord are actually helping us for the prosperity of this world by providing all the necessary items and ingredients for our maintenance and sustenance, keeping the body and soul together. And the purpose of keeping body and soul together is ultimately self-realization, and then advancing further for God realization or becoming Krishna conscious. Therefore, the yagnas are directly aimed at the particular demigod mentioned in the Vedas, Karma Kand. Indirectly, it is practice of Krishna consciousness. So, yagya performance is indirect practice of Krishna consciousness. Because when one masters the perform of yagya, one is sure to become Krishna conscious. Ultimately, he will come to know that all demigods are different limbs of the universal form of Supreme Lord.
So, Prabhu, one question. If someone is performing yagya for a demigod, then that yagya is like, I understand that is for the demigod and indirectly going to Krishna. But Krishna himself is Yagnaprati. And if you are doing yagya for Krishna, then how would you define it?
If you are doing yagya for Krishna, means we are doing Sankirtan yagya for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We don't need any other yagya for any demigods because they are automatically satisfied. For
if yagya is being done for a demigod, then it's fine. But if yagya is directly being done for Krishna, one form of yagya is a jap. But if yagna is being done, because Krishna also says in the 18th chapter that when you do yagna, you get purified. How would you qualify that?
Cheto Darpan Marjanam, we are doing Hare Krishna Mahamantra to purify ourselves. we purify our existence and impurities in our heart, Cheto Darpan Marjanam, by performing Sankirtan Yagya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is worshipped by Sankirtan Yagya. There is the Yagya to purify ourselves and to understand our constitutional position. So demigod worship is indirect Krishna consciousness, practice of Krishna consciousness. While performing of Sankirtan Yagya is direct action, practice of Krishna consciousness. But if by performing Yagya one does not become Krishna consciousness, this is the answer to your question. But if by performing Yagya one does not become Krishna consciousness, such principles are counted as only moral codes. One should not therefore limit his progress only to the point of moral codes, but should transcend them to attain Krishna consciousness. So here this section is over, and our time is also almost over. The next section is Nishkama Karma Yoga to set correct example. This is the largest section. So these are actually Parinishta Bhakta. In this section generally, those Parinishta Bhakta means those who are transcendental to the obligation of the Vedic duties. Still they perform all the duties like ordinary people, just to set example for the common man to follow. So this section is from 17 to 35. So that we will discuss next week.
Krishna Prabhuji?
Yes.
This the walkthrough slides for chapter 3. Do you have, Prabhuji? Will you be able to forward it to
I have whole Bhagavad Gita walkthrough. But
Okay.
how to send, I don't know. If I will find some devotee here to help me to send, then I can do that.
Okay, are you back in Vrindavan, Prabhuji, already, or you're still traveling?
I am in Pakistan. I will be next 3 weeks again. I am out. I am I'm in Sindh now. Today I am going to Karachi. I will be in Karachi for almost a week. And next I am traveling to Dubai from 9th till 25th, and then coming back to Delhi and Vrindavan.
Okay, fine, Prabhuji.
But
And
I will
Bhakti
find
Pradhan Mataji had some question.
I will
Yeah.
find somebody to send you this walk through the Bhagavad
Fine,
Gita.
Prabhuji.
Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, I have a question. Like Ignas, as we discussed, Prabhuji, like Ignas, we do normally after initiation also we do Igna. We do Sankirtan Igna and we do chanting, which is prescribed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So how can we answer if someone has this kind of question? Because Ignas, we do it, right, Prabhuji? Even in Mayapur, we do many Ignas.
Those yagnas are performed by the qualified Brahmins for our 16 sanskaras generally.
For the Shopajal, please.
Like childbirth sanskar yagya, vivah yagya. So these are the yagya which are not karma kand yagya from Veda, but they are especially tailored for a Vaishnava yagya, because those yagyas are to please Vishnu, and we perform those fire sacrifices still as our rituals for the sanskaras or purificatory processes. Or
Yes,
even
Prabhuji,
when we do deity installment, we also perform yagya. Sometimes we perform Narsinga yagya for protection. So still we perform all these yagyas, mostly because to set an example that we are not actually, we are not callous to the Vedic yagnas. We are performing same Vedic yagna in a Vaishnava ways. But our Sankirtan Yajna only one is sufficient for everything. When Srila Prabhupada was installing deities in Vrindavan, he actually engaged the qualified Brahman priest from Vrindavan to perform all the rituals. But he told the devotees, you chant Harinam Sankirtan. That is actually our Yajna. We are engaging all these priests simply that people should accept our deity installment as bona fide. But for our Krishna consciousness, Sankirtan Yajna is enough. It is more than enough.
I got it, Prabhuji. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So what is for your homework this week?
You gave one question.
Dying cycle of sacrifice.
What is
Benefit
become?
of eating Krishna Prasad, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Yeah, one is the benefit of Krishna Prasad.
Yeah. Benefit of Krishna. And then the cycle.
Cycle.
Yeah, karma cycle of the yajna and karma.
What is
What is the meaning of vikarma? Vikarma. What is the meaning of vikarma in Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah, so this vikarma will continue till chapter 4. So you just keep it like an open file. I think somebody has a question in a chat about Varna Ashram, which Varna we are. Vaishnava are actually above Varna Ashram. But still, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada said, it is better for us to work in a Devi Varna Ashram, not in a material Varna Ashram, but in a Devi Varna Ashram. So Prabhupada says, when I am mopping the floor of the deities, I am acting as a Shudra. When I am distributing books in the street, I am acting as a Vaishya. When I am managing a temple, I am acting as a Kshatriya. And when I am doing deity worship, I am acting as a Brahmana. So as a Vaishnava, we can do all the things because we are transcendental to the Varna Ashram. But still we perform Varna Ashram. Just not to disturb the society.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have one question. In the slide number 60, let's share that slide so that benefit of everybody. This is the point. The Lord created this material world to enable the conditioned souls to learn how to perform yajnas for the satisfaction of the Vishnu. I mean, is this the main reason why he created material world?
That is the verse. That is the verse. Sa yagna praja srishtva prajapati aneno. Yeah, he created the world that we should perform yagna and please Vishnu and go back home, back to Godhead.
Like what I thought is he created this material world because we souls wanted to enjoy without Krishna. So that's why this material world is created, and we souls came and standing, and then here it has some different meaning, and he created this material world to enable conditioned souls to learn how to perform yajna.
Because yagna will fulfill your desire of enjoyment also, but then it is legitimate enjoyment. If you don't perform yagna and only enjoy, then it is illegitimate desire fulfilled, which is sense gratification. So this is the original purpose of the creation, is to enjoy, but legitimately by performing yagna and getting benefit and enjoy it. Those who are not performing yagna and enjoying, they are enjoying illegitimately and they will suffer.
Okay, yeah. Eventually we'll also go back to kingdom. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Anyway,
Thank you, Prabhuji.
yeah, I'm traveling, so
Hare
I'm
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
I'm traveling,
Dandavat pranam.
getting very late, night 2 o'clock sleeping, and it's a little hard for me, but I'm just continuing somehow very slow. I'm going too slow, but it's okay. I think you are satisfied. It's okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare,
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
2 o'clock, Prabhuji, for you?
Well, I slept last night 2 o'clock. Hare Krishna. I came from the program by 12:30.
Yeah,
Hare
Pakistan is just half an hour delay.
Yeah, there's also another difference. But anyway, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Vancha kalpati
Hare Krishna.
desya. Kripa sindhu vyaya chapatitanam pavane. Chalo bhai. Hare Krishna.